Good morning, everybody. Well, it is morning here still in Utah. It is not morning for my East Coast friends, so good afternoon to all of you. I am coming in today to talk to you about something important, and I want to talk about the realness, the facts behind protein. I said I was going to do it yesterday, and I didn't make it, so I do apologize. Something came up in the afternoon, and I was not available, but here we are. So I think protein is very interesting to me. As someone who's been plant-based for a while, back when I first went plant-based, which was like 14 years ago now, there was a lot of the standard question, because we didn't have the options that we have now, but the standard question always was, where do you get your protein from? And all the experts I followed, all the science I followed back then was like, well, all plants have protein. And that's still true today. I'm not disputing that at all, but I was able to brush off the question, where do I get protein off, like many people do. And the thought process was that just eating a variety of plants would be enough. And for a while it was. But as I was moving through perimenopause and into postmenopause, I did notice there were some changes. I was feeling like I was losing strength, right? I felt like I didn't have energy. My recovery did not feel as good. I was definitely feeling more fatigue. And that's when I started to really kind of get into learning more. But I recognized that my body wasn't getting all that it needed. And that's when I started learning the real story, what protein actually does. And now that I have done all my extensive studying and research in menopause, now I know how it affects our hormonal body, what it can do, what it can't do, and all the things. And I want to share that today because we are on this pendulum. So first thing I want to say is protein does matter, right? All of our macronutrients matter, right? Protein, fats, and carbohydrates. There's a reason they are considered macronutrients. Macro meaning big. We need them in large doses. Everything else is micronutrients. But here's what protein does for us. Protein helps to keep us full. It helps with our satiation. Healthy fat does that as well. But it also helps build and maintain muscle. It also helps to support your metabolism. It helps to support your hormones. It helps to support your recovery. But just like everything else in nutrition, we are now in this kind of protein craze. The internet has, and all these influencers and everything, they've taken it so far the other way. We went from really not talking about protein unless you were talking to somebody who was plant-based, to now thinking it's the only answer to weight loss, especially for women in menopause. Women in menopause are being told all the time, eat more protein, eat more protein. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that, but we have to figure out where the middle ground is and why it's not working for you, because most women I talk to have tried this, and I'll tell you more about it. But now there is science. There is scientific research showing that as we age, we do not, as women, I'm talking to all my women here, I don't know as much about the male body, but we don't absorb or use protein as efficiently as we did when we were younger, right? That's one reason conversations about increasing protein around during the menopause phase makes sense, right? Especially if your goal is to keep your metabolism working as efficient, like I talked about the other day, and to maintain muscle for many different reasons. Right? And again, this matters in menopause so much more because your body is changing, and its nutrient needs that before might have been just nice to have are now more necessities, right? To get you feeling good. So if you want to preserve muscle mass, if you want to be strong as you're aging, protein becomes even more important. Strength training plays a huge role as well, but you can't build or maintain muscle without enough protein to support it. So here's what I see though. This is the catch. More protein can help, but it's not magic, and we don't have to go to the extremes on it. So if you are just adding more protein, you're a woman, you're in perimenopause, you're in postmenopause, and you're just adding protein on top of what you're already eating to try to hit some certain number, and especially because for most people, it is coming from animal proteins, which are more calorie dense, or it's shakes or bars right? All of these different ways we're looking to try to up protein. You might be increasing your calories without making any real changes, right? And unless you've adjusted something else to compensate for this addition of protein shakes and protein bars and added protein at your meals, you're probably not going to be getting the results you want. And this is where I see a lot of women get frustrated, right? You hear that you need more protein, so you add more, but yet you're not losing any weight. And then you think it's not working. Here's another lie that I've been told. But what's really happening is this. You've added more protein, so you're eating more, but we haven't compensated. You haven't adjusted. And because protein is calorie dense, it can backfire. And this whole idea that you need to eat your goal weight in grams of protein every day, there is absolutely no science behind that is going to get you there. It is oversimplified, it's a meme, it's repeated online, and it's missing the nuances of each and every single person's body. So, am I saying that you want to be getting adequate protein? Absolutely. I'm going to share with you a really easy way to make that happen. Because if you know me well enough, you know I am not someone that's going to be like, count and weigh and measure every single thing you eat. Because I spent my whole life doing that. I don't want to do it now. I'm not going to do it now. And I don't want you to have to do it now. But let's just talk really quickly here about how you are getting your protein. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with protein shakes or bars here and there. Convenience, there's a reason these products exist. But they are not the same thing as a meal. Even if you're making your own smoothie at home and maybe you're using protein powder, a lot of times these bars, these shakes, these smoothies do not satisfy your body the same way. And they can sneak in a lot of extra calories and additives that don't support your goals. So you might eat it and you might, or drink it and you might get the protein, but if you're hungry an hour later and you're reaching for more food, that's not really doing what you need it to do, right? So you have to start noticing how's your body reacting to what you're giving it. Now, and this is a place when these always matter, but especially around protein, whole foods do matter. The more of your protein you can get from an unprocessed or minimally processed food, the better you're going to feel and the better your body's going to function. And the better protein is going to help you with the results that you want. So, what does supported protein intake look like? If I'm telling you, you don't have to log and weigh everything if you don't want to. You don't have to drink a ton of protein shakes and protein bars. Now, if you're on the more seriously, if you are, a semi-professional athlete, if you are into that realm, I'm probably not talking to you. I'm talking about your average person that is working, that may or may not be working out, that does daily exercise, that is doing some strength training 3 to 4 to 5 days a week. That I'm talking to you. So just want to be clear there. But if you want to be able to make this easy on yourself, how can you make it happen? Well, you got to set yourself up with your balanced plates, because again, it's not just about the protein. This is why carnivore, I don't believe, is going to work long term. I definitely don't believe keto. Right. Anyway, so what do you want on your plate? You want to put about 25% of your plate lean protein. Half your plate, big portion of fiber-filled, non-starchy vegetables. Yum, yum, yum. Some complex carbs. Now that could be in the form of starchy vegetables. Maybe it's a whole grain. Maybe it's a yummy sweet potato, whatever it may be. And some healthy fat, right? 5 to 10% of your plate is a healthy fat. That balance right there is what works the best for your body, for your hormones, for your weight loss, right? This kind of a plate is nutritionally dense and calorie light. Why? Because half your plate is fiber-filled veggies, which are some of the lowest calorie foods that give you the biggest bang for your buck because of the nutrition and how much they fill you up. But your protein. Now, for this to work for you, this balanced plate, you got to be eating your 3 meals a day. If you're doing 1 meal a day, then absolutely no way are you going to be getting enough protein. If you're only doing 2 meals a day, Unless they're bigger meals, you're probably not going to be getting your protein in every day. But if you were aiming for about 25%, or excuse me, 25 grams of protein per meal, and you were eating 3 meals, that's about 75 grams of protein. If that's just what's coming from your protein source, then we also have to factor in there might be a snack or two throughout the day, plus the fact that all veggies do have protein. Even your grains, even your starchy vegetables all have protein. You are probably going to be hitting around 100 grams of protein per day. That, unless you are on the seriously athletic side, and again, this is probably not for you. You're probably doing something different. That is enough. That is great. Now, if you're plant-based like me, you got to probably put a little bit more into it. Might be need to be a little closer to 30% of your plate for your proteins, right? Depending upon whether you're doing edamame or tofu or beans or lentils, right? I know my protein amounts pretty well in those. Why? Because I prioritize protein. For me, someone who's plant-based, I know I'm going to be getting my veggies in. I don't have to worry about that, right? Because I don't eat anything else. So all my meals, I start with what's my protein? What am I going to use? Is it going to be a bean? Is it going to be tofu? Is it going to be edamame? What am I doing there? And then I build my plate around that. That for me is the easiest part. For most people, it's the reverse, right? You know what your protein is, but you might be eating half your plate in protein. Now you can, but it's not necessary. And then you are eating extremely calorie dense food. And then you only are leaving a small portion for your fiber. And that's why women are like, I can't hit 30 grams of fiber. That blows my mind that you couldn't hit 30 grams of fiber in the course of a day. Like, it's just mind boggling to me. But if veggies are only taking up 20%, 25% of your plate, well, that would explain why. Anyway, so this is what a balanced plate looks like. You don't have to track. You don't have to log to figure it out. You can use this easy plate method. You can pay attention to how you feel. And if you're someone who thinks you need to have all this control over counting, I did a live a while back on, or actually I did it not too long ago, the illusion of self-control. So let me know and I'll send you that. But you're not alone in thinking that, but you don't have to have this perfect. Nutrition is not about perfection. You need a simple way to build your meals and to check in with your body and say, how is it feeling for me? Okay, while we're here, I want to knock out one more myth, because that's basically what I'm doing this week. You do not need to combine certain plant foods at every meal to make a complete protein. That myth has been debunked for years and years. As long as you eat a variety of plant foods throughout the day, your body gets what it needs. So if someone's trying to tell me you're not getting complete protein, you can just tell them to buzz off, because it's not the case. Now, you do not need a macro spreadsheet or chronometer or any of these logging apps to know if your protein is working. You want to know how you'll know? Are you full between meals? Are your cravings down? Is your energy better? Is your focus better? Do you feel less brain foggy? Are you are able to build strength? Are you in a calorie deficit and now able to lose weight? All of these are clues for you. So here is the end. Protein matters. I am not saying that it doesn't. And if you are plant-based, and I do think many of the experts are coming around on this, talking more for women in our age group, not all of them. I know that one of my favorites doesn't subscribe to this, but a lot of the experts are, and anyone in the menopause specific field is. But there is more talk about prioritizing a plant protein at every meal. But especially for my plant protein ladies, please don't disregard the importance of protein, because they've made it seem like an obsession now, right? This is what we do. We go from one extreme to the other, and the power is in the middle of all of the crap, right? If it's too extreme, it's not sustainable. Someone put a comment up on something I put up yesterday or a few days ago, talking about how she just saw something that said 20 grams of carbs or less. Now, I pray that that is not a menopause person who said that, because that would be awful. If you didn't watch the live I did on metabolism on Monday, our metabolism, Thyroid loves carbohydrates, and our thyroid is the driver of our metabolism. Please be careful when you're minimizing carbs. You don't want to be minimizing the good complex carbohydrates. But so protein is important, but it's not a magic solution. In menopause, none of it is about the extremes. It's about understanding your body now, what it needs, and learning to give it that with less stress, more recovery, more kindness, more compassion, more love. So if you want a copy of my Balanced Plate, just put a comment here and I'll drop it here in the comments. It can be as easy as you want it to be. It doesn't have to be this complicated tracking macro system. You just need the right information, and you got to be listening to your body. So if you've got any questions, you let me know. If you're so confused by all the stuff out there, please ask away. I will answer any questions that you might have. But please, let's make your menopause easier. Let's stop making it so damn difficult.